Conducting UX research is a large part of the UX design process. The better you understand the problem, the better you will solve for it. However, a lot of junior designers do not know how to go about conducting research. They only learn about the different methods of research such as surveys, user interviews, desk research and so on, but they do not know which topics they need to cover during this research. In this video, I'm going to share the segments that you should cover in your research along with the subtopics in each. Let's get started. Essentially, there are 4 segments that you want to cover in your UX research. And they are client's business, users, competition, and the existing product. Understanding these 4 segments will give you a complete understanding of the scope of the project, especially in the problem space. As I said earlier, the better you understand the problem, the better you will solve for it. So if you understand all of these 4 segments properly, you'll be able to design better solutions. Ultimately, the whole purpose of understanding these 4 segments is to build empathy. And empathy not just for your users, but also for your client, for the competition, so you understand where your client is placed in the market, and the existing product if the client has one. Each segment has subtopics which I will cover in this video, and every subtopic will help you understand the segment better. I will also suggest certain questions and specific questions you can ask to understand all of these subtopics. These questions will not only help you start a conversation, that is if you're doing a user interview, but it will also help you keep the conversation going and it will make it feel as natural as possible. For this video, I'm going to use the example of an app called Headspace, which is a sleep and meditation app. Let's say Headspace wants to launch a new feature and they're asking us to come on board and conduct some research. They have recently recruited in-house therapists, and this feature will basically help their users book appointments with these therapists and learn more about therapy. Ultimately, the goal of this feature is to cure mental health. So the first segment you want to understand is the client's business. This essentially means you want to understand the needs and wants of the client. You want to understand what goals they have specifically for this project, and you want to get a good understanding of why they want to do this project in the first place. Understanding the client's business is as important as understanding their users. Even though this is called UX research or user experience research, you still want to understand the client, as they are the ones who are funding the project and they are the ones who had the initial idea. So they have some direction of what they want from this project and how it's going to affect their business. Within this segment, there are 3 subtopics: general understanding, subject specific, and goal specific. The general understanding subtopic basically involves some warm-up questions that will help you understand more about the business in general. These are great conversation starters. So you could ask, what is the business about? When was it started? Why was it started? What are the different products or services that this business is offering? And then you can ask specifically about this new feature that they want to launch. So in our Headspace example, you could ask, why do you want to launch this feature now? What are the other features that you have that are not solving the problem that this feature intends to solve? So you can dive deeper, just get a general understanding of this feature and of this project as a whole. The second subtopic is called subject specific. So this involves diving deeper into the problem space. You essentially want to understand how they came up with this feature idea, why do they want to solve it now, and have they tried anything in the past that didn't work or that wasn't in line of what they wanted to do, and you can learn from what they did so that you don't repeat the same mistakes in this project. So in our example, the subject is mental health. So you can ask them, what other features did you have that tried to solve for mental health? Did they work? Why did they not work? And so on. Finally, the third subtopic is goal specific. Every project has a goal behind it, whether it's chasing some metric or achieving some larger business goal. So essentially, you want to ask the client about what the success metric is, what is the current metric. So let's say they want to increase the number of daily active users and they think this feature is going to do that. You can ask them, what are your current daily active users, and ask them for the current statistics so that you can compare it at the end of the project to see if you have reached the goal that they wanted in the first place. You can also ask them, are there any other features that are going to get affected if we launch this new feature, and are their metrics also as important, or can they take a little hit if this new feature is launched? The second segment is users. Now, user research is a crucial part of any UX design project. So essentially, you want to understand the user's pain points, their goals, their motivations, and more importantly, you want to understand their relationship with the client's products if they are using the client's products today. Within the user segment, there are 3 subtopics: general background, subject specific, and product and feature specific. So the general background subtopic essentially means that you want to understand the demographic of these users. You want to understand their current behaviors. So what are they doing today? What is their day-to-day lifestyle? What problems do they have with regards to the problem space that this project is in? Essentially, this will help you gather some common pain points and get a basic understanding of who these users are. The second subtopic is called subject specific. In our example, the subject is of mental health. So you want to understand more about this space and what users think about it. So you can ask users questions like, how is their mental health? Have they been facing any issues? What are they doing currently to combat these issues? And so on. Finally, the third subtopic is product and feature specific. This means you want to ask users questions that are related to the current product or features that they're using of this client. So in our Headspace example, you can ask users what features they like about Headspace, what features they don't like. You can ask them, do they think that this new mental health therapist feature will help them in a way? Have they used any other competitors' apps to solve this issue? Basically, you want to get a good understanding of what they feel about the product today, so that when you launch this new feature, when you work on this new feature, you'll have this feedback in mind that will help you solve for these problems. The third segment is the competition. Essentially, you want to understand who are the current players in the market, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and this will help you understand where your client is placed in the market, so that this will help you empathize with your client and see who you're competing with. There are three subtopics in this segment. One is overview, the second is product specific, and the third one is called common ground, which essentially means you want to understand the best practices of a particular feature or subject within the market. So in the overview subtopic, you want to understand basically more about the market in general. How has the growth been? What is the future projections of this market? Who are the competitors? How has their growth been? What are their popular products or features? What is the value proposition of these competitors? And more importantly, you want to get a general consensus of how the users of these competitive products feel about these competitors. Learn more about their thoughts and feedback regarding these products. In the second subtopic, you want to understand more about the product overview. Essentially, you want to now study the apps or these features of these competitors. So you want to see how did they solve the problem. In our Headspace example, we are working on a mental health feature that allows to book therapists. If your competitors have solved this problem and made a similar feature, you can understand how they have solved it. What is the current flow? Are users happy with it or not? You can read about user reviews on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and you can learn more about these competitors. What other features do they have? Which are their best performing or worst performing features? Essentially, the goal of this exercise is to seek inspiration from your competition and really gauge how they are placed in the market. Finally, you want to understand the best practices or any established guidelines for a particular subject or for a particular feature. So in our example, we want to build a booking appointment flow, right, for therapists and other medical professionals. So you can look up on Google or any other search engine, what are the best practices of a booking flow? What are the do's and don'ts? And you can look up other proven methods or design principles that have been applied, so you're not reinventing the wheel, and it'll help you design a lot quicker. And finally, the fourth segment is understanding the existing product or existing feature. This is essentially done if the client already has a feature that they want to redesign or they want to rework on. So in our Headspace example, we are working on a new feature that is a booking appointment flow for therapists. But let's imagine that Headspace already had this feature and for some reason it wasn't working out. So understanding this fourth segment of where the feature is and what is the current status quo of this feature is super important. However, if you're working on a new feature, you need to understand the other features of the product and how it's performing currently. There are essentially three subtopics in this segment: product overview, feature specific, and external scope. The product overview is similar to a UX audit. Essentially, you want to understand the current structure of the product, that is, how are the current features organized. You want to understand which are the best performing or worst performing features. Are there any bugs or usability issues in these features today? And more importantly, this will help you understand where this new feature will be placed. Or if you're redesigning an existing feature, you will see how it affects the entire app as a whole. To do this, you can talk to users and run some usability tests, or you can ask the client if they have received any particular complaints from users about certain features. Essentially, you want to conduct an audit, which means you want to find things that are not working and understand why they're not working, so when you redesign or work on a new feature, you don't make those same mistakes. Finally, the subtopic of external scope is basically helping you understand how other features are going to get affected. So let's say there is already a feature on the Headspace app. Let's say the sleep tracking feature. You want to understand if booking a therapist session for some reason, is that feature going to take away the merit of the sleep tracking feature? This is just an example, but oftentimes what happens is Clients want to just keep adding more and more features, and before you know it, the app gets bloated and users that were already happy with the app before are not so happy with it now. So you want to be very careful, especially if you're introducing a new feature, and you want to gradually, subtly introduce it so that it doesn't affect the overall user experience. Adopting this practice will help you design more carefully and effectively. To summarize, gaining knowledge on these 4 segments will help you build a strong foundation for this project. If you made it to the end of this video, I have a special gift for you. I have collated all the necessary questions for all the 4 segments and their subtopics in a UX research question bank, which is free. So if you want to grab your copy, check the link in the description. A pro tip to keep in mind is that you should conduct research at any time during the project. The more you learn about something, the better you will be able to design for it. Most people think that they need to conduct research only at the beginning of the project. However, if you get stuck or if you need more clarity, it is absolutely necessary that you should conduct research at that given point, and that will help you overcome the hurdle that you're facing. I hope this video gave you value and helped you understand more about UX research, and hopefully you're in a better position to go and conduct research of your own. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content on UX UI design, then consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.